go.
Alright.
Hey everybody, what's going on? You know what time it is? It's good old Monday show. It's a show for your Monday-ness, your pre-reset thing, the brain candy timies. Today, we are talking about Vanilla, World of Warcraft.
Everyone's favorite topic.
I don't know, maybe. But,
They've talked about a lot.
yeah, it's talked about a lot. Now, we're not going to be talking about the usual kind of thing.
Like the good old days and
Good old days and reminiscing about how great the World of Warcraft was and how not good it is now because good things are bad and the old things are good. No, we're just going to talk about the topic that's been the question that I'm sure is still being debated over at the Blizz headquarters. And ever since they talked about announcing the World of Warcraft Classic Edition, they've been talking about, okay, what patch cycle do we want to drop it in? And so I went back and I started looking at all the different patch release dates. And I did a quick summary. I'm not going to waste everybody's time and energy by going down and explaining every single thing that was released. That would be the worst show ever.
start an alpha.
Yeah. We're not going to do that. And so instead, I got you highlights. In case you didn't know, World of Warcraft was first released live, not the beta, launched November 23rd, 2004. All right? And at launch, we had a nice set of dungeons and 2 raids, one of which I'm standing in front of right now. And that would be Anoxia's Lair and Molten Core. And so I'm going to go ahead and go inside Anoxia's Lair, which is something they rehashed a couple times to give us the version that we have now. But this was included at launch. So then we move fast forward on down to December 18th, 2004. And the dungeon Mardoon was released. Have you ever done to Mardoon?
Mardoon.
Yeah.
Is that that one in Desolus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did it on accident once when I was leveling and I just was going through the dungeon finder. I accidentally did it. But I only recently went and found exactly where the fuck that bitch is. But needless to say,
It's confusing as hell.
it's not a very good dungeon.
No.
Not a very good dungeon at all.
Me and a friend were just going to go run it for reasons. I can't remember why we were going to run it. And we're trying to find the specific entrance.
Which is deep underground.
Like,
It's almost as bad as Wailing Cowards.
For the wing we wanted. We're trying to find the entrance for the wing we wanted. And it took us maybe 30 minutes to find the exact wing. And fighting through all this shit, and that was annoying.
So that's December 18th. March 7th, 2005 is when we get Dire Maul, and world bosses are introduced for the first time. And excuse me if I butcher this name, but Azurgos and Lord Kazakh were the first 2 world bosses and the first 2 people that you would kill outside of Anoxia and Molten Core. So we get to revisit those. We got to revisit the guys in the anniversary. We got the 2 of those, and we got the Emerald Dragons, which we will get to where they released then later down the line. But we did get to experience those guys again not too long ago. Now remember, dear viewers, when I had said that PvP was kind of on the back burner, this was literally last week when we were talking about PvP and Honor. The Honor system was first introduced on April 8th. And we got the first confusing, not very well received Honor system that was revamped in 2.0, and then we had another revamp in Legion, and then we have another upcoming revamp with the World PvP. So I guess that'd be version 4. You want to get weird about? I don't know. So yeah, Honor wasn't introduced until April. Released in November 2004. April is when we finally get an Honor system. This is how long it took them to even get a basic system down for PvP. So that's good shit. April. After April, it wasn't until June when we got our first Battlegrounds. July, we finally get a new raid with Black Moon, with the Black Wings Lair, and we get to introduce for the first time the joys of the Dark Moon Fair, all the way back in 2005 to July 12th.
When the Dark Moon Fair was kind of,
yeah. September 13th, we get Zul'Gurub. October 28th, we get a Arathi Basin Battleground. So, first time that came out, October 28th.
What about, when was, That was called, no. Orson Gulch.
That was introduced with the Battlegrounds.
Oh.
On July 7th, 2005. So then, December 13th, we get Zul'Gurub. Very nice. I already said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're past the Arathi
Okay.
Basin.
So also around the October time frame is when the first BlizzCon ever is released.
Missed that one.
And the Burning Crusade is announced. So we're talking less than a year. I mean, how many months is that from November? I don't know. I don't want to think about it. Brain hurts. Don't want to deal with it. But, so that's announced way back then. So the game hadn't even been out that long before they even announced their first expansion. Dragon... Sorry. October 10th. Excuse me, buddy. Excuse me. No squeaks. No squeaks, buddy. Go lay down. Go lay down. Lay down. Alright. So, October 10th, 2005, we get the Dragons of the Nightmare. And 4 bosses. I think there were only 4 of them. Called the Abyssal High Command. Now, as I was looking into this, I had never even fucking heard of these world bosses. And if you had experienced it, shit, please let me know in the comments, because I have never even fucking heard of this event. But apparently you had to go and you had to summon these bosses, and you had to kill them. I've never heard anybody even talk about, nostalgically about, oh man, you remember that Abyssal High Command? Holy shit. So I still don't know anything about this. I've never even fucking heard of it. But, you know, whatever. That was a thing. They removed it pretty quickly, I guess. And it was a thing. So, good shit. Way down in the next year of 2006, we are introduced on January 3rd to the Ankaraji event. And that includes the ruins, AQ40, AQ10.
Temple and I think it's the song. I can't remember. Ankarai Ruins and Ankarai Temple.
Mm-hmm. Including the world event, opening of the gates. That was January 3rd, 2006. March 28th, we get the a very interesting change, and this is something I kind of really forgot about for the longest time. It wasn't until March 28th, 2006 that they finally make the change where your experience... So when you're leveling and you did quests, you got experience. And when you do the same quest at max level, you got gold. Well, that wasn't a thing until March 28th, 2006. So, enjoy that quality of change when they fucking release Classic. That'll be interesting. We get also weather for the first time. It started raining and snowing, and Mulgore, and
don't see so much of that anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still thing. It's still there. There's still things. And the first time we get cross-server battlegrounds also happened then. June 20th, we get Naxxramas. That gets released. And they also, it took all the way down to June 20th, 2006. If you remember doing any of the older dungeons, you used to get keys to unlock different portions of the dungeon. And you used to have to sit in your inventory, and people bitched about it forever. And then Blizzard finally said, okay, cool. We're going to give you a separate container, a key ring, to hold all your keys so they don't take up room in your inventory. So that was cool, I guess. August 22nd, 2006, world objectives get included for PvP. And this is when the Plague Land Towers went up. I believe there was some in Ungaro Crater and different things like that. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you see the same kind of tower still today in Burning Crusade. When you go out to the different zones there are capturable objectives that'll give your faction a buff if you keep and hold them. And that was a thing that was alive in Vanilla WoW. That was all the way back then. And as we further closer and closer, we come to the end of the life of Vanilla. December 5th, we get our first looking for group interface.
Yeah, I remember that.
First time we get LFG.
It's kind
right
of
there.
how it is. Works a little more broken than it is now.
So if anybody ever says LFG was not a vanilla feature, they're wrong. It was at the very ass end of its life.
But it was really weird and wonky.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was good. I'm just saying it was a thing. And arenas. So, yeah. PvP was never at the forefront of these people's minds. Please don't ever get that twisted. Don't ever get that twisted. Then it took them all the way to December until arenas were announced and released for the first time. And what you can finally call the date that Vanilla died, if you want to have your little funeral or whatever, is January 9th. The Dark Portal pre-patch opens, and the Legion starts invading through the Dark Portal. And you get to go into Burning Crusade for the first time. So, yeah. So that'd probably be the last day of Vanilla. January 9th. So, Vanilla, World of Warcraft, started way back November 2004. And ends, more or less, on January 9th, 2006. So, a few years. A couple years of Vanilla. So the real question lies: what patch should they bring us into? Which version of Vanilla World of Warcraft should we get to experience for some people for the first time ever?
Start an alpha.
Now, that has been. I'm not saying start an alpha, but I believe that for this experiment that is going to be classic, because it is an experiment. It's not, I could play around with it. For this experiment, I believe that we should get a patch for patch release window. I think that would be really, really cool, especially for somebody like me, that I wasn't a hardcore player in Vanilla.
No,
but I did get to experience changes and how it did affect the game, largely in patch for patch. I remember when they announced flying, and I made a dwarf just so I could see it snow in outside of Ironforge, or going and running over to Milgore so I can see it rain on the plains. I thought that was really cool, but then again, I was much more easily impressed back then.
I remember when they first introduced cross-realm PvP, and you're like, Nathan, you can see this, and you dragged me over to your house.
You know, you said these exact words last time.
Yeah.
You might want to mix up your stories a little bit.
I'm just saying,
they're getting
this
redundant.
is where the story comes in. You just watch the last video.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think honestly, drop it as it was dropped. We have the list of dungeons that we had, minus the ones that were introduced later. We have just the 2 raids. You know there's going to be a crazy race for cap when this thing announces, because you know so people are going to be fucking racing for it. There's going to be racing for achievements, which I don't think they have Vanilla.
No, there was no achievements.
When were
Vanilla?
Early Wrath?
Early Wrath.
Yeah. So no achievements. So there's no world first, because there's no way to track it.
Yeah. They'll probably put in achievements though.
You know, they said warts and all. I really do believe that they should stick to their guns. Warts and all. No transmog. None of the rest of that shit. Do a patch for patch cycle. Because if they release it at the later expansion, so say they go back and they do it at the release, the patch when Naxxramas is dropped.
Yeah.
People are going to go in. People who've been playing private servers this whole time are going to go in, know exactly what pieces of gear they need, how to level as fast as they can,
And
where to
knock it
go,
out.
how to do it, and they are just going to annihilate this content. It's going to shock the fuck out of people, because people are going to be like, no way, it's impossible. You're not going to be able to get to max level if you're without playing for 2 months, 3 months, whatever. People are going to do, I'm saying right here, right now, people are going to cap in a week, and it's going to be like, people are going to like die because they're fucking playing so much to try to cap as quickly as possible. There's going to be the race to top, and people are going to do some ridiculously dumb shit to get there, but there's going to be a race to cap, and then there's going to be the race to clear those dungeons the first.
Yeah, you got those
And
people who haven't seen a day of light for like 5 years, and
that's fun and that's cool to watch and experience and all, but it's not really what vanilla is. The experience is really all about. I mean, shit, we didn't even get gold for completing quests until the fucking ass end of the whole experience. And but there's something I was looking at earlier today, and there's something not earlier today. I've been thinking about this for like the last week or so, and there's a problem that I don't know if anybody's really thought about, really anybody's even talking about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it right now. Gold farming in Vanilla WoW. You think that's not a thing? You're fucking wrong. Gold farming is still living in active live version right now. Even with the coin system that we have in place right now, there's still people doing the gold farming. There's still people doing shady things to try to get their gold, like compromising their accounts with some sort of Chinese gold farmer. There's all kinds of horror stories out there, and they're still going on. So that's going to be an issue. And so the question is, how are they going to deal with it? And in my mind says that there is no fucking way that they're not going to introduce a coin system, a token system in Vanilla WoW if they do, unless they don't care about protecting their product. Because that's the whole reason they started doing the token thing in the first place, was about protecting their product. And if they don't care about protecting their product,
but you gotta set the rate like a super low, like to the point where people just get too pissed off. Like, oh, you get like 5 gold.
Well, that's the hard part.
Yeah,
that's the hard part, because if your rates aren't reflective of the current market, people are just going to go to the gold farmers.
Yeah, no.
So it has to be competitive.
I think it would be broken if you could just get a WoW token and now you have enough money for a mount.
Absolutely. I'm if you have to introduce a system like that, make it for like a 1-for-1. $1 gets you 1 gold, because gold was really shitty back in the day. And that'd be fine. But that's probably not what we're going to be facing.
No, it's probably going to be like, here's a WoW token, I'm going to exchange it for gold, and now I'm going to sell it in the auction house for gold, and now I have...
Can you imagine how badly that would break the game if somebody bought a token and all of a sudden they have 200,000 fucking gold in vanilla?
No, I would say maybe something like maybe enough to get yourself a mount and an epic mount training and an epic mount. And that would be broken. That would be broken if you get a WoW token and you can get yourself epic riding.
Because that was also a big part of the experience. Everything costs money. You wanted to learn the next level of your spell? You need gold. You want to fucking get another mount? You need gold. You want this? Gold. That? Gold. Everything costs money. And unless you were the most efficient gold farmer in vanilla days, and this is way back before all the add-ons were as good as they were.
Even in Wrath, it was like really hard to actually get enough money to train up on everything. Like, I remember there was like spells I just didn't bother training until like, oh, I have gold now to piss away for something stupid.
Mm-hmm. Hell, there were people back who, when in vanilla, would still use the lower ranking version of their spells because it was more efficient for mana. So they weren't always even using the highest cap version of their spells because it would cost too much fucking mana to use it.
I just totally forgot. You couldn't go just the max versions of the spells. You couldn't just go learn it.
Mm-mm.
That wasn't introduced until like Wrath.
You had to go buy 1, 2.
No. I'm talking about like the max level. You actually got to go find a tome, and because you couldn't just go learn it. You had to go.
Absolutely.
You had to go find a low drop item.
Which a lot of those things dropped in AQ. A lot of them did.
Those little grayed out items, like this is like
the burnt tomes that you find now.
Those were your max.
That was how you learned your cap, and
So totally forgot about that. Have fun with that.
So I mean, it's a problem, right? And so, it may not. They might not address it at first. They might wait until public outcry gets to a certain point. But they really need to be forward thinking about how to preserve this game, because that is the experience is what people say they miss. And if you can't preserve the experience,
one thing I'm actually kind of looking for, speaking of gold farmers, is because I heard those Chinese gold farmers are really aggressive towards the private servers and stuff. They will actually shut you down if you try to shut them down. So I would like to see them try that with Blizzard, where there's an actual major like some major corporation, so they're trying to DDoS them or something. It's like Blizzard's like, we get DDoS like every hour.
That's like a daily occurrence.
We
patched something and one person's class is now 0.5% less efficient.
We get
stand by for a DDoS.
Yeah, no. So I like to see these Chinese farmers because they'll probably like start picking up before Blizzard comes up with some type of solution, like add WoW tokens to vanilla.
If they are not forward thinking with this problem, it is going to destroy the game.
No, but I'm saying
it's going to destroy it.
You got to figure out a way, like not right away. Maybe like have the WoW tokens come in like maybe halfway through. If they start from like launch, then work their way patch cycle, like the patch cycle, like halfway through the life, maybe add WoW tokens.
Well, there is no victory. There is no victory in this situation, because you wanna present an authentic vanilla experience.
Well, as I said, because WoW tokens.
But then you're gonna take something that breaks the authentic WoW experience, because even gold farmers, you can still call them players, and the players will be the ones who ruin the own experience. And so how do you protect that?
Just wait until the first gold farmers start popping up. I mean, that's going to probably quick, though.
It's going to be quick.
Yeah, it's probably like within maybe like a day.
You're talking about a game that was done developing in its original iteration 11 years ago.
Yeah.
There are people who know more about that game version now than they did when it was live. There are no secrets anymore.
Yeah.
There is nothing hidden anymore. Everything is out there. Everybody knows how to do everything nowadays. The internet wasn't as strong back then. You had a couple of resource sites. Add-ons weren't very good. And with the way add-ons exist in the game now, you could almost recreate all of the updated changes that are current with enough add-ons.
Yeah.
So what do they do? Do they make it so you can't make add-ons in vanilla? Because that's not authentic, because there were add-ons.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
I don't know. I mean, that's
you don't like Raid Finder? I guarantee you somebody's going to make a Raid Finder app. A Raid Finder fucking add-on. Don't like LFR? It's going to be there. They're going to make it. It's going to be in the game. Because people are going to make this shit.
But it won't be like but that'll be that's a little different from the LFR. Because I know people are going to freak out when you go, oh my god, they're not going to put... No. It'll still be normal molten core, but it'd just be just a queue up system, kind of like how LFR would be, just to me. No, but as I said, I'm more thinking about the gold, like how do you combat the gold farmers? That's because that was my biggest pet peeve up until they really... I'm not sure what made them just drop off. I think Blizzard just did mass banning.
Yeah.
Because that was a fucking annoying as shit. Like, I get, like, whispers maybe every 2 hours I'll get a whisper from someone trying to sell me gold. I would go into a city and I can't read trade chat because there's this gold farmer spamming. There's floating people, like...
Well, I mean, it was bad then. It's still bad now, but there's a better way to hide it, you know?
Yeah.
And there's just habits and shit like that have come up recently. Like, okay, so like we could probably chalk this up to the Friendship Moose experience, right? And if you don't know what the Friendship Moose was, at the end of Warlords of Draenor, some very nice people, some very full of heart people said, you know what? Hey, we want to help as many people as we can get the Moose mount by getting ahead of the curve Argus.
Yeah.
Because it was in remembrance to their friend that died before that he can get ahead of the curve, and he really wanted it. And so in memory of this man, they decided to just altruistically help whoever they could get them out. And it became a big thing. It became a big thing, a huge thing. And then people started streaming and saying, okay, you know, we're going to help you get the moose. We're going to help you get the moose. And then when the streamers started realizing that by helping people, it got them views. So then it was no longer altruistic, but it was a way to get viewers. So now you see that shit all the time. Free Mythic plus 15 carries for my channel. Free Argus carries for my channel. Like and subscribe. Go into my stream. You'll be randomly picked for this, and it helps get them viewers. Mm-hmm. And you know, whatever. And then when people realized that it was becoming profitable to some people, then they started selling it, which was happening even before the Friendship Moose. But it really, really came to the forefront of something really cool happening, getting twisted and fucked up by people looking at for a way to benefit themselves. And very much the same thing. So you're going to see people selling Molten Core runs.
Yeah, but I'm more talking about the gold farming.
Well, it all folds back in.
Yeah. So
people who have excess money in the free-to-play world that we live in right now, you've played free-to-play games. I've played free-to-play games. I doubt anybody needs an explanation, but in case you don't know, 90% of the free-to-play games out there on the iOS, Android, whatever market, is a system where they get you to play the game a little bit, get you a little bit of fun going on, you start enjoying the game, you start liking the game, but then eventually you'll hit a wall. And the only way past this wall is to sink an amazing amount of time into this game. Or you can spend real money and get to that next point faster. And if you spend more money, you'll get something really powerful. And pay to win, exactly. And if and so when Blizzard started talking about making this whole token thing, people, including myself, was like, fuck, now we're gonna get a pay to win version of World of Warcraft. And that's still something I don't want. And so when Blizzard handled it the way that they did, by not taking currency that wasn't already existing in the game, what they did was act as a broker.
Yeah.
They took people's gold, they gave it to people who paid money for the gold in exchange for tokens that people could use for more time. Now other video games, now they can use it for Hearthstone, now they can use it for Diablo, now they can use it for Black Ops, including games that are not Blizzard games.
Yeah.
You can use a token to pre-purchase Black Ops right now. And so it works, okay? It works because you're not introducing anything in the game that wasn't already there. So it maintains an equilibrium, but at the same time, you have people who have gold to burn. And so they don't play the game. They don't want to get better at the game. They get a bunch of gold together. They go fucking have somebody pay. They pay somebody to go get their ahead of the curve. And then, do whatever they want with that ahead of the curve, but they don't actually put in the time. They don't put in the effort. They don't do what it needs to be done.
They usually get ahead of the curve and go off and do their own thing. You don't really see them in
I was gonna say they'll be like acting all elitist because they have and I don't want to get into that because that's too much negativity for right now. But people do all kinds of weird stuff and people pay for anything.
Yeah.
Get their fucking rated battlegrounds, get their mythic kills, whatever the case may be. You can pay for anything out there as long as you have enough gold. And how can you get enough gold? Well, you can pay real money for it. But luckily, that amount is directly reflective on how much people are willing to pay for a token. So you are seeing the basics of
Supply-
economics,
supply and demand.
basics of supply and demand being demonstrated right in front of you. The coin is only as worth as much as people are willing to pay for it. And if people are not willing to pay for it, the price of the coin goes down. The more people that are willing to pay for it, the price of the coin goes up.
My question is, how much would that coin be worth in? Because there's got to be a cap, because there's going to be a certain point where it just gets this just gets too ridiculous. I mean, for vanilla, because there is the gold cap is super low.
Yes, it is. And Matt just said he was guilty of winning a free Twitch raffle in his first AOTC Argus kill, which is fine. I'm not saying that these are bad things. I'm not condemning these things. I think the fact that people are willing to get together and do nice things for other people is fine. But I am saying that as for as many people, for every one person that is actually genuinely trying to do something good and decent for the community, there's a million other people who are just looking to better themselves one way or another. And so I'm not saying that these are bad things, because I personally, I think it's fine that these things are out there.
Yeah.
If people want to play the game this way,
fine, do it.
That's fine. Play the game the way you want to play. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm just saying that it is an issue, and it is an issue that needs to be addressed.
I mean, as I said, like, I remember that, as I said, in Wrath, I would be constantly being spammed by farmers. And I just, like, I don't want to fucking farm. I don't want to buy your farmed gold. I want to get the gold myself. But it was a never-ending, like, onslaught of being whispered.
Mm-hmm.
Then you also get the I haven't seen those in a while, where they try to pretend they're like a GM.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're gonna see those again.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they absolutely get the subscriber benefits, and that's fine. It's fine, because, this is the world we live in, and this is how the system works now, and, good or bad.
But, as I said, if they were to implement tokens in vanilla...
But they're going to have to.
No, I'm saying...
I don't see any other way for them to get around it.
Have a time delay, like 6 months or something. So there'll be people who've already got the mount the old-fashioned way, their mounts the old-fashioned way. Kind of treat it like,
That's bullshit. Matt just said that followers get entered once, subs get entered 4 times. So if that you pay the person who's providing the service, you get a increased chance to actually win.
Oh.
That's horseshit. That's horseshit.
No, I was saying, like,
that's fucking garbage.
I would treat the WoW, because you're going to use one of the biggest impacts for the WoW tokens is people getting their mounts.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a much bigger deal back then than it is now, and
I would treat, as I said,
it's gonna be system shock, and that's fine.
I would treat it like, as I said, like a Pathfinder achievement, have a time delay, like 6 months after launch of vanilla, put out WoW tokens. That's how I would do it. So that way, some people would already have their mounts the old-fashioned way.
I don't know. No, because these people are going in day one. To go do this, to go start farming, to go start the wheels of this system.
It's already turning.
Yeah, people are already getting ready for it. They're like, yeah, I can't wait to do this.
They're scouting out the best, what's it called, add-ons right now. They're trying to figure it out. They're probably already making add-ons just specifically for vanilla WoW.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so it's a problem, and so. You got people like me who believe that the game should be as authentic and original as it was. Don't fuck with it, don't touch it. But then you run into the situation where eventually they're going to fucking have to. They're going to have to. And then you open up a really weird door where, okay, we already started changing things, like introducing an in-game shop where you can buy your tokens, because they're going to have to put that interface in there in order for you to be able to get the tokens. What next? Do you get your online store mounts?
No.
Do they introduce achievements that weren't in the game? Do we get to unlock MOG that we've earned in Classic WoW by getting those items in the current game? By the way, that's my idea, and I would love that to happen. But at the same time, I don't want it to happen. I have mixed feelings.
Clarifications. We're saying no MOG in vanilla, but you get a piece that is no longer in current game. It unlocks for your current game
So if you get
like the corrupted Ashbringer.
If you get corrupted Ashbringer, you can play it on live. You can transmog it in live, not in vanilla. Don't want vanilla transmog. Just clarifying. But I mean, I hope that you get this, that you're seeing where I'm going with this. It's a snowball effect, and then sooner or later, depending on how far they're willing to go.
We're probably gonna get death threats for suggesting that, though.
Why? By who? From Matt?
I don't know. Watch. This is the one video because we talked about this.
This is the viral video. This is the fucking one that sets us on the map. Don't think so.
Yeah.
There's people that are saying far more fucking clickbaity
stuff
and provocative statements than what we're saying here. I am saying that I'm seeing a legitimate problem on the horizon, and I'm really curious to see how they're going to address this. And, you know, do I think that there's any Blizzard developers listening to this right now? No. But if you are, please consider this problem and be better at your solutions than I am. But I'm just saying, do something.
Also, could you put, if there's a Blizzard developer listening to this, get the word out about our channel.
Oh, God. Yeah, because they're going to... Anyways.
Just say, hey, these guys are assholes. Go yell at them for 5 minutes instead of me.
But yeah, so I'm interested. I'm excited. I get to re-experience something that I haven't experienced in a really long time. Matt just threatened to kill us. Yeah. But yeah, what do you audience, what do you people listening here, I got you, this Twitch is going to be ending here soon. We're going to get ready to transition here. We're going to start doing a, well, I'll talk about what we're about to do when we get done with the broadcast here. But we're wrapping up here in a second. But I would love to see what you guys think when I put this on YouTube. Comments are enabled. I mean, we got comments once, way back in the day. Haven't seen one since. We get our few likes. Thanks,
Tumbleweed.
Yeah. But I would love to see what you guys think. Do you guys see this as an issue? Do you guys see this as a problem? And you know, and this is really aimed at the people who've never played this before, because it's a modern day problem for a really old. It's a modern day issue for a really old game.
Yeah. That
isn't ready to deal with the kind of shit, because what we have right now. Matt says he wants to do. He didn't get to do classic vanilla, so he'd like to see it as Thank You as a Kid to Me, and I want you to experience that. And it's going to be great, and it's going to be terrible all at the same time. It's going to be great and terrible. I mean, you want to be a hybrid class, and by hybrid class, I mean anything that isn't a pure tank, DPS, or healer. Going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
Going to have a hard time. Do you like being broke all the time in game? That's vanilla for you, but it's great and it's terrible all at the same time.
Did you also get the weird? Because I'm trying to tell you that those Chinese farmers were doing weird shit. Like they were actually hacking in the game and having their characters would float up, then die in midair, and stuck in midair, spelling out words. So you get this whole line of corpses floating in midair, spelling out a website. They're just weird shit.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. So, March 28th, 2006 is when they announced connected flight paths. So, if you don't know, I will leave you with this. Flight paths weren't always connected. What do you mean? You used to have to click, go to the next flight path, land, click the next flight path you would want to go. So you had to know the route in your own mind about what flight paths connect to what, and you take the flight path one at a time, piecemeal by piecemeal.
You can't just click on like the one you want to go
to. You're not fucking flying from Orgrimmar to Silithid. You're not doing that. You go from one stop to the next 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 stop, and when they introduced connected flight paths for the first time, you would be flying for so fucking long that you would disconnect from inactivity. And I remember this happening to me all the fucking time. I'd be like, ooh, look, connected flight paths. I can go from one side of the map to the other. And trying that, and then Because you can't do anything. You can't jump. You can't move forward, backward. So you're just AFKing the whole time.
I tried it once. I timed it, and it was I think because I went to what was it Winter Springs and flew all the way down to what was it Tenaris.
Okay.
That was like 35 minutes.
Good shit. So good. Love it.
So it's like, okay, I'm just going to time how long this takes. 35 minutes. As soon as I land, I mean, I got lucky. As soon as I land, I got disconnected, but...
Yep. It's good times.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, I'm going to call it a day for the show. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this subject. Please go ahead and put in your likes, your dislikes, comments, your hate mail. I don't care. Give it all to me.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and tell your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Swear to God, tell your friends.
Because everybody likes a super low quality fucking...
Who doesn't?
Two dudes rambling.
Oh, speaking of, because we were talking about the... Because I did say we were talking about the whole class, like, learning spells thing.
Mm-hmm.
You got one. You just looted one right there.
Yeah.
So,
oh, yeah, right here in my
yeah.
guide, Serpent Sting, Book of Starfire.
Yeah, that's how you got your max level spells right there. All right. That's what we'll end it on.
And, yes, Matt, I absolutely do think that Blizzard will buckle eventually. And I don't think it's going to be because of the fans. I think it's going to be because the game will spike and then lull. So what I expect to happen is that it's going to be vanilla as fuck when it first launches, and it's going to be amazingly successful for about 6 months. And then people are going to start realizing that this isn't the game for them, and it's fine.
It's hard as shit.
It's fine. I mean, I'm not one of these guys to say that this is a really hard game. It's tedious, time-consuming, difficult. If you consider tedious and time-consuming to be difficult, then yes, this will be the hardest fucking game in the goddamn world.
Well, comparatively to what it is now.
Yes.
Like, there was not even enough quests out in the world to get to max.
That's why you did dungeons.
That's why you did dungeons. You would get to 50, was it 57 or something like that, and you ran out of quests.
I never played the game without doing dungeons, so I don't.
No, I'm saying you get to level 57 and you run out of quests, and you have to figure out what to do from there.
Yeah. Yeah. But everybody, have yourself a wonderful day, and go ahead and stay on the stream, and we'll talk about what we're going to be doing next. And have yourselves a wonderful day.